Russia's story is one of vast lands, powerful rulers, and dramatic upheaval. For centuries, Tsars ruled with absolute authority. The Romanov dynasty, the most famous of them, reigned for over 300 years. This period witnessed imperial expansion, cultural flourishing, but also deep social inequality. The 20th century ushered in a new era. The Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 toppled the Tsarist regime. It established the Soviet Union, a communist state that would reshape the geopolitical landscape. Under Soviet rule, Russia underwent a period of rapid industrialization and collectivization. This was often achieved through brutal means. Millions perished under Stalin's reign of terror. The Soviet Union's victory in World War II solidified its status as a global superpower. However, this came at a tremendous human cost. The post-war decades witnessed a protracted Cold War with the West. This ideological struggle shaped global politics for nearly half a century. The Soviet Union, despite its initial promise of equality and progress, became a totalitarian state. It was marked by repression, censorship, and economic stagnation. By the late 1980s, under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev, reforms like perestroika and glasnost aimed to address these issues. However, these measures ultimately hastened the collapse of the Soviet Empire. In 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved, marking the end of an era. It also ushered in a period of profound uncertainty for Russia and its people. From the ashes of the Soviet Union emerged a new Russia. It grappled with economic hardship and political instability. It was during this turbulent period that Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent, rose to prominence. Putin, trained in the shadowy world of Soviet intelligence, was a figure shrouded in mystery. His rise to power was both swift and strategic. Appointed prime minister in 1999 by the ailing Boris Yeltsin, Putin quickly consolidated his power. He projected an image of strength and decisiveness, a stark contrast to the perceived weakness of his predecessor. Putin's early presidency was marked by a combination of economic reforms and a tightening grip on political control. He centralized power, silenced dissent, and reasserted the dominance of the Russian state. His actions were met with mixed reactions. Some lauded him for restoring order and stability. Others criticized him for eroding democratic institutions. Putin's vision for Russia, however, was clear. He sought to restore Russia to its former glory, to reassert its dominance on the world stage. This ambition, coupled with his deep-seated suspicion of the West, would have profound consequences for Russia's future. Putin's rule has been marked by a complex interplay of domestic control and geopolitical maneuvering. He has consistently sought to expand Russia's sphere of influence, particularly in its near abroad, the former Soviet republics. Nowhere is this more evident than in Ukraine, a country that holds deep historical and cultural ties to Russia. The 2004 Orange Revolution in Ukraine, a popular uprising against a rigged election, deeply unnerved Putin. He viewed it as a Western-backed attempt to undermine Russian interests. This event solidified his belief that the West sought to weaken Russia and encroach upon its borders. Putin's response was swift and calculated. He provided support to pro-Russian leaders in Ukraine and used economic leverage to exert pressure. The 2014 annexation of Crimea, a Ukrainian peninsula with a majority Russian population, marked a significant escalation in tensions. This act of aggression, widely condemned by the international community, was met with sanctions against Russia. However, Putin remained undeterred. He continued to support separatists in eastern Ukraine, fueling a conflict that has claimed thousands of lives. Putin's actions in Ukraine revealed his willingness to use military force to achieve his geopolitical objectives. It also signaled a return to a Cold War mentality, with Russia once again positioned as a rival to the West. In a move that sent shockwaves through Russia and beyond, Putin's government recently rescinded a 1991 law. This law had been a landmark achievement of the post-Soviet era. It had exonerated millions who were victims of Soviet political repression. This reversal, widely seen as a return to Stalinist-era tactics, has raised serious concerns about the future of human rights and the rule of law in Russia. The 1991 law, passed in the waning days of the Soviet Union, had been hailed as a crucial step towards acknowledging the horrors of the past. It provided a measure of justice to those who had been unjustly persecuted. The reversal of this law, however, suggests a chilling disregard for historical truth and a willingness to rewrite the past to serve the present regime. Critics argue that this move is part of a broader trend under Putin. This trend is the suppression of dissent, the rehabilitation of Stalin's image, and the creation of a climate of fear and intimidation. The targeting of those previously exonerated, including their descendants, has sent a clear message. It shows that no one is safe from the arbitrary exercise of state power. This move has been met with condemnation from human rights groups and Western governments. They see it as a dangerous regression towards authoritarianism. The reversal of Soviet-era exonerations, coupled with Putin's actions in Ukraine, paints a bleak picture of Russia's trajectory. It raises profound questions about the country's future and its place in the world.